Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohit, and I am a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I am currently pursuing my Bachelor of Technology in CS. And today, in this session, we are discussing about Git and GitHub, and we will walk through Git and GitHub, and we will also discuss about all the commands and other things related to Git and GitHub. So let's get started. Uh, So the agenda of the meeting is, first of all, there is no prerequisite. So as a beginner, you can also learn from this event, right? So the learning objective of today's is overview of GitHub. We will discuss about the overview of GitHub, what is GitHub and how we can use it. And we will also discuss about version control and types of version control and basic of GitHub and why Git is important and little bit terminology. And I will also uh, tell and I will also show how to install Git in your local system and other. And we will also do a live open source contribution to a GitHub. And in the last, we have the Q&A. You can ask your question in that Q&A, right? So the prerequisite of this the prerequisite of this event, you must have a GitHub account. If you have not created your GitHub account till now, you can just go to github.com and you can create your own GitHub. And you can also avail the student developer pack from the GitHub website, as GitHub offer a lot of benefits for the students. So you can simply add your college Gmail ID, then you will get a student developer pack where there are a lot of uh, freebies to you. There are a lot of cloud product, cloud points and etc. so that you can utilize these in your projects, right? So now the learning objective, what we are learning today. So we are learning about the Git workflow, what is the Git workflow and how to initialize a local repository. If you're not aware about what is repository, don't worry, we will understand in this session, right? And then we will learn about process of staging and commenting. Suppose if you have created a application and you has commit a message, so there are staging area in GitHub, so we will also discuss about it. Then other main important concept is branching. We will also discuss about types of branches and how you can create your own branches and why branches is important. Suppose if I'm making a big web application and we are 2 3 folks who are making the application, right? Suppose I am making the front end part and my friend is making the back end part, but there is only one branch. So the issue arise branch conflict. Suppose my friend added something to the web application and I was not aware about this. So it is good and it is mandatory if you are working on a project to create a new branch so that the other person can also get to know about what feature you have added to your Git repository, right? So next we have connect local repository to remote. So it is a basic step, like if you want to connect your local repository to your GitHub, you can directly connect. I will also tell. Then we have push local changes to the remote repository. Remote repository is that repository where your old source code has been placed, so you can access through it remote. I will also show the demonstration part in the ending how you can do. So next we have what is GitHub and what is the why we are using GitHub and why we are discussing today GitHub. So as we all know, GitHub is a development platform that enable you to host and review code and manage project and build software alongside 50 million developers. So the basic idea of GitHub is the most popular version control. So what is version control? So version control is like, suppose if I'm building a calculator application and me and my friend are making a complex calculator application, and I added the feature of addition and my friend added the feature of subtraction. Now this is the version one. Next day, our boss or our organization tell us to add division and multiplication on this web application, right? So simply do uh, we simply uh, added these features, and we create. But next day, suppose if I want to go back to the previous feature, the addition and the subtraction, at that time it is important to have the version. So GitHub is one of the most popular platform in version control system. And what is Git? Git is a version control system, and GitHub is a final product of it. And it is the open source software, so anyone can access. And as we all know, GitHub has 50 million developers. uh, we have GitLab also. GitLab is another type of version control system, or another kind of public repository where we store code. But mostly developers use GitHub because of the simplification. When you go to the GitLab page, GitLab is very difficult as compared to GitHub. So it uh, uh, it it has the developer community as well. As GitHub has more developer community as compared to GitLab. GitLab is very complex to understand if you are a newbie, right? So next we have what is one version control system. As I told earlier, it is a system that records change to a file or set of files over the time that you can recall specific version later. As I told the example of calculator application, like suppose if I'm making a calculator application, right? So I created a calculator application and I added the functionality of addition and subtraction. Next day I added the division and multiplication. Next day I want to go back to the addition and subtraction. How can I go? So there comes the uh, there's come the recall specific version later. So I can directly go to the version 1 because GitHub is GitHub is saving all the versions. So this is important in version control system, that suppose if I'm making any changes to my files and next day if I want to revert back to that position, so it is so it is like so it is useful. uh, so it is a useful, or it is a bridge, like you can understand version control givers, right? So it allows you to revert selected file. As I am told it, we can go to a previous state, right? And we can compare the changes over the time. Suppose today I created addition, addition code, and next day I create another addition code. But in the previous addition code, I simply write the code of to adding two numbers. In next day, I write a code of adding three numbers. So it also provides the compare change over the time, so we can compare the code, right? And we can also see who has modified the code, because git also, like GitHub is also, we can also see the commit messages and all, who is changing our file, when and what changes he had made, right? So next we have types of version control system. So there are two types of version control system. One is centralized version control system, another is distributed uh, version control system, right? In centralized, the computer, like there are two suppose oh, wait so there are two computer 1, computer B. So there is a uh, center place of database. Suppose if computer 1 wants a file, so it go to the central uh, version control system and ask for the file, as compared to computer B. So it's a long process and it is a little bit complex. Whereas the distributed version system, we have a standard server, and we have this computer 1 and we have computer 2. So what is in this distributed system? Suppose computer A want to access uh, the web application and the code. So computer A1 gets a copy of that code, and if computer B wants, computer B also get a copy of this. So both get the copy of uh, two files, or you can say a repository uh, in your GitHub. And if you made any changes to that copy, then you can directly uh, push to the distributed computer system, where all the files and all the versions you have saved, right? So the basic Git commands. So there are many commands, but the most important commands are written there. Git init is a initialization command. Suppose if I'm making a web application now, I want to add this all in my GitHub account, or in my GitHub repo, if I want to create a GitHub repo, so we will add git in it. So it will create a .env file it create a git init file uh, in the GitHub, right? Then git add file name. Suppose if I want to add a addition file, so I will add git add and the file name, and git status tell all the status about the file is untracked and other things. And git commit. Commit is for the message. Suppose I uh, created a git init command. I created a repo over here. Then I added my file name. Then I want to commit a message. Commit a message is also important, and how you commit a message is also important, because suppose if I'm adding something, suppose if I'm adding screenshot, so it is necessary to add a relevant comment, because when someone other person tries to see the git comment, so he or she might get confused. So it is important to add a relevant comment, git message, right? So next we have git remote at origin repo link. So git remote is suppose if I want to access my a repo in my local VS Code. So what I will do, I will go to the GitHub page. I will open my uh, the repository, and I will click on the code. Then there are two, three options come up. Once there is a original GitHub link, you will just copy this and open VS Code and add your original link, and it will give all the files which are present in your repository. It will provide this all in your VS Code in your local system, right? So git push origin master. So this command you usually used sometime, because suppose uh, there is a issue in uh, commenting or something, you cannot push. So git push is like you edit the file, you commit the message, now it's time to push. So git push origin master. Master mean there when I told about like when I told about branches, so there is a default branches, master branches, which is one branches it is present, and you can create another branches, right? And next we have distributed system version control system git, as I already told. And yeah, this is git is a version control system, and GitHub is a service for git projects. So a lot of people get confused in git and GitHub. A lot of people uh, think that GitHub is a version control system which manage the version and help, but it is wrong. Git is a version control system. GitHub is over made it in GitHub, but GitHub is over make it up top of it Git, right? So it provides service source and Git projects. So next we have why Git. So as I told a lot of about Git and GitHub, what are the important and why developer use Git and GitHub to store their code. For the sharing is very important, because if I write a whole code, if I created a weather app or to-do app and I want to share with my friend, so it is very hard, or it is very time taking process. If I upload all this in a Google Drive or in a mail, it's very time consuming and and it is very complex to understand with my friends. So distributed virtual control system help in collaboration. As I already told, it helps in collaboration. I can share my code with my friend and other. No more tension on losing old code. As I told about versioning, so if you are updating your code, do not worry, because the old code is also remain there, and with a good comment message, and also you can go through your older code, right? Live code, deployment code kept in one places. Suppose if I've created a web application in Next.js, and I hosted the application in Vercel. So when you open a popular GitHub repository or GitHub project, you have seen in right side there are two, three links coming. First would be like the project name, another would be the deployment package.json and other things. So you can easily go to the code website, and it provides a easy deployment option for the developers, right? Ease of manage with large code base. As I already told, uh, if I have a lot of files, if I want to store that file, it's hard to save all these file in Google Drive or in mail or in my storage. So instead we use Git. So distributed development, as we discuss in distributive version control system. So the terminology, let's see how many terminology we have. First, we already know about what is version control system, right? Next, merging. Merging is like You have a web application and you push a code over here. If the code merge with the main branch, it call a merging, like uh, you have push your code to the GitHub repository, and now the GitHub owner or the organization has merged your code with their own real code. Because when you are pushing the code, before pushing the code, you must fork the repo. Fork the repo mean you have a duplicate, a code base. You have a duplicate code base. Like suppose if I want to copy a web app, so it will write web app slash your GitHub username. Then you can make changes in this. Then you can directly push this branch, directly push to this GitHub repo. If they found this is useful code, they will merge it in your like they will merge in their code base, right? So branching, as we already know what is branching. And source code manager is nothing but source code means like we have a web application, you have written a code, and this code is stored in the GitHub. So it is a kind of manager also, you can say, of like sourcing the code. Next we have GitHub repository. uh, as I told many times, what is GitHub repository? GitHub repository is type of a folder for your project. Suppose this is GitHub and this is the web application. This is the web application over here, and this is a repository for the web application, right? So you will add different file, all file like dependency, package, JSON, everything, and you create a good README. README is something you must edit in your project or whenever you are pushing. README is like to no other person what the web application do, because you directly push the code, but if there is no if there is no readme, so it's hard to understand the third person what's the code, what's the codes do and what is the code for, right? So it's a good practice if you, to add a readme and tell us about the project and what the tech stack you are using it, so that other person can see, and if they think that the project have the potential, they can also contribute to your project, right? So repo we already know. Staging area is like, suppose uh, you have you want to commit or you want to push a file to your GitHub repository. Staging area play the staging area is simple, like staging area is unstage and stage. Suppose if I want to push a code to my GitHub repository, first it go the unstage, then from there I stage staging area, then from staging area it pushes to our GitHub repository, right? So then we have index. Index is like, suppose we have a GitHub repository and you have added files and other thing. So the sequence of this file is like considered as index, right? So staging index, as we already talk about staging area, it is correlated like index and staging area. About index is like files index. Suppose this file is top of where this, and if I want to stage this file from on stage, we simply add in the staging area, right? So next we have working directory is like simple Linux command, like where you are working. And next we have remotes. Remotes we already told, remotes origin and what it does. Merge conflict, I already told you. There are a lot of times that people face this problem, merge conflict. Merge conflict is happen because when you are committing on your main branch instead of making new branches. So it's highly bad practice if you're not making new branches for any changes, because you cannot directly commit to the main branch. Suppose the application is suppose there is an application which is responsible for booking tickets, and you directly committed a message, and somehow hypothetically situation your request is also merged and you write a wrong code, then the application crashes. Because of your crash, many people cannot buy tickets, or like they cannot use the web application. So it's better to add a branch, or whenever you are making any changes, it is a good practice if you create another branch for it, right? So next we have checkout. Checkout is, suppose you push the code, everything is perfect, So this is referred to the checkout. Like checkout is nothing. Commit, I already told, commit is like message. Suppose I edit a file and there's a commit. I write a commit that I edit a file, that I edit an image. It is a kind of a sentence which is seen by other developers when they see your GitHub repository or your code. Then we have SHA. SHA is also related to when you are trying to connect your GitHub from terminal, right? So next we have terminologies. As we discussed, there are a lot of terminology, but GitHub provide a Git cheat sheet. Is I highly recommend everyone to download this cheat sheet because I already knew it's a good simplified version. We discuss a few terminologies, but there are a lot of other terminology as well. So you guys can prefer this sheet. I will provide the slide in the WhatsApp group as well, right? So next we have exercise. Let's talk about little exercises how you can start how you can start and configure your GitHub, right? So first you have to install so first you have to download the Git. If it is all not present in your system, go and download Git. And next we have, so how to get okay, how to get. So in this you have to install Git. So it's basic step. You can just go to Git download and go to the Git download SMHC folder. Then download according to your, if you have Mac, then go for the Mac, then Windows. Or if you are using Linux, write sudo aptk. That is the basic stuff. You can simply go to sudo aptk, install Git, and in your Linux it will install Git, right? So first time configuration. Suppose you downloaded Git. Now it's time to set up your username, because there are two ways. First is the terminal, other one is the GUI, graphical user interface. So many folks use graphical user interface because it is very convenient and it is very easy to understand. But the terminal one is also simple. First you downloaded the Git. Uh, First you downloaded the Git in your in your laptop or in your PC, right? So first, whenever you download, go to the Git and open the Git terminal over here, and then write git config global username dot your name. So in this first step, you have to write your name. Suppose my name is demo, so I write demo. Then you have to set up your email. uh, Here you have to write your email. Then you have to like so whenever you are doing this, then you will get a output color.ui auto. Let's see next step. So list all the configuring properties. You can explore this part. You review the git configuration and other from git config dot list. There is a git help command also. It tells all about the command and other things, right? So exercises, working with the local repository. So in this exercise, we will create a GitHub local repository, make change, add comment, and review the repository and push the repository to the remote repository. So basic idea, we will create a repository and we will try to add commit and other things related to it. And I will show how you can do uh, with this, right? So this is Git works with the GitHub. So this is a staging area, this is the working directory, this is the staging area, this is the local repository. As I told, suppose if I want to add the new text file, first it is present in our system. So from our system we will add to the staging area. Staging area is like a stage, staging area. Then the file come to the staging area. Now it's time to push this file to push this file and git commit message. So I push this file. Ah, I pushed this file to our GitHub repo. So this is the basic kind of overview of like staging area, local repository, working directory. Other you can explore it with your own. Like as I mentioned, the Git sheet, you can explore various command. These are basic one, but there are a lot of complex command as well. As you will get to understand when you use Git, when you find errors, then somehow you will get to know about all that commands, right? So as the local repository, then we have the remote repository. So this is the full workflow of git how works with GitHub, right? So like uh, git add already knew, हमने file add कर दी है इसके अंदर. Then we have git commit. We have created a message that I have added the file. Git push to the remote repository which is present in GitHub, जो हमने repository बनाई थी git init करके. And then okay. So then we have initialization of Git repository. As I already told, whenever you are suppose I created a web application VS Code, now I have to add to this GitHub repository. First step would be git init, and these are some basic command line. Ls is like for list file directories वगैरह. Whenever you type ls, it will show all the files in list form. Cd is change directory. Suppose if I want to, I have created a web application. In our web application there is a front end and there is a back end. If I want to go in this front end part, I will simply write in terminal cd front end, and it will directly go to the front end. Suppose if I want to remove files and directory, suppose if I want to remove this front end folder, I will simply write rfm and the front end folder name, and it will. So pwd the basic command working. This is present work directory. Suppose I'm in backend folder, I did not know where I am, so I simply write in terminal pwd, and it will tell I will in the backend, because pw stand for like present work directory, right? And next we had git add file. So as I already told in the previous slide, git add. So I am adding one file over here. Take. And next. So we can add multiple file at one time. Git add. Suppose if I want to add a lot of all entire files, I will add git add, right? So these command move changing from staging area. And yeah, so next we have git commit. I already do initial comment. It is a type of comment, and uh, it's a relevant comment. Suppose if I'm adding a file and uh, I'm adding a message to that file, right? So this command move change to the local repository, and try to always write your commit message impressively, as I already told you, right? So if any folks have any doubt or something, you can simply uh, open your open mic, and you can simply ask, because it is a two-way interaction, so it is important to you folks also have some questions, so you can ask it, right? So next we have commit message. So commit is a change one more or file. So as I told, commit is like messages. So you can see the commit history of 2020, right? Merge pull from this slide, this commit 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So these all are commits ID. So you can click on this and you can see uh, who has like committed all these things, right? So next we have git commit message, do and don'ts. As I already told, git message is important because to know the other developers. So do is like keep the message short, like it is you are not writing a description of all about the process. And so it's important to add a short, not more descriptive, right? And explain what the comment does. Suppose I added an image, but I am writing a comment. Suppose if I edit a file which is related to the UI, but I am writing a comment message, I added an image. So it did not make any sense, right? So try to write the relevant comment. Don't explain why the change was made it, and explain how the changes are made it. Use word and. So don'ts are would be don't tell why these changes are made it, because suppose if you are commenting a UI change file, so it's not meant to like uh to add why you are changing file, right? So next we have reviewing the git repository history. Like as I already told, git status is one of the command, and git log is also command. It tells all the uh log. It will give all the log what you are working on your like terminal. It will give you, right? So next we have reviewing repository and other things. And if any folks have any doubt, you guys can ask simply by open your mic, and I will happy to answer you all if anybody have any question. So I think nobody have. So we will continue the slide. So the SHA, the author, the date, the commit message, etc. So the commands, like as I told, there are a lot of commands, so you guys can explore it with your own. Git on one command. So yeah. So next we have reviewing the repository, as we already discussed. And then we have cloning forking, right? And cloning and forking. Cloning is like, suppose there is a web application, I want to clone the application in my local system, and I want to test that, and I want to make some changes, right? So you can simply go to the GitHub repository. There's a fork button, so it will create a clone in your in your in your GitHub account, no, in your GitHub account with a similar name, and you can perform, and you can like do changes to that. And suppose if you want to comment this, if you want to comment, suppose if you want to add a feature or something, first you have to fork it. Fork it means in your local GitHub there is a, you can create another copy of this example, and then you can to make this we have to clone this repo. Cloning is also means, suppose this is a application, and I want to clone this application in my system, so this is a application slash your username, this is a application slash the application name, right? And then after cloning, upstreaming, suppose if you want to add a PR is stand for pull request. You have forked the repo, then you made some changes, and now you want to make that your changes will now you want to make your changes go to, now you want to make your changes added to this Git report. You will simply make a PR, and the reviewer will see your PR. If it is perfect, and if it is correct, and it is not violating any code another, it will merge, right? So open source contribution. Open source contribution of software for which original code is made freely. So what is open source contribution? Open source contribution means the code which is freely or accessed by anyone openly without any penny. So it's like called as open source. Open source is related to software that are developed by contribution. Types of open source contributors. Suppose they are a Kubernetes project, or suppose there's a Linux. Linux is one of the largest open source project. So Linux is contributed by many other folks, many other people, and it is mainly entirely free. No one is getting paid, but people are contributing to Linux, and people are contributing to other good open source project and helping the community. So it is related to open source, right? So next we have how to contribute, improve software you reply. Why we are contributing? Suppose if I'm contributing to Linux, if I'm contributing to some applications, suppose I'm contributing to Kubernetes. Why I'm contributing to Kubernetes? To improve the software. Suppose Kubernetes is used by many big companies, but Kubernetes is open source, which is open source by Google. First, Google uses, like first it called Borg, then Google open sources in 2006 or 2010. And now why we are contributing to this project? We are contributing so that the software get improves, right? Improving existing skills. Suppose I am a learner and I am learning a specific language, and I'm contributing to this project which is in this similar language. So it helps to upskill myself, right? Find mentors. As I told, Linux is a big project, Kubernetes is a big project, right? So these are big projects, so there are a lot of mentors out there, right? So yeah, so you will meet mentors, you will learn new, and you will learn people skill, you will learn a lot of new skill over here, right? So summary of this, we have learned about GitHub, what is Git repo and other things, and I hope you folks like this. If anybody have any question left, you can ask, and I will also share this PPT link uh, in the WhatsApp group, I guess. And yeah, thank you so much folks for joining this presentation. And yeah, so if anybody have any question, you guys can simply ask, and ask your question. Like
Hello,
if anybody have.
I have
Hello.
a question. I have a
Yes, can you
question.
introduce
Are
yourself?
open source
Yeah.
and I'm
Hello.
Naveen. Hello.
Yes. Yes, yes, your voice is
So
audible. Yes, yes.
I have a question. Are open source and
Mm-hmm.
GitHub same? Like
Mm-hmm.
I want a GitHub
No, no.
student pack, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm facing some problems. So can you
So
provide me with a solution?
yes, I can help. You can DM me, or so if you are getting, if you're getting issues regarding the GitHub student pack, I think your college Gmail ID or something missing. And the second question you ask, open source and Git. So Git is different thing, and open source is a different thing. Open source is openly freely accessible code, and Git is a version control system. So it is little bit related, but they are both different, right? I think your question is solved. I mean, hello. Yes, I think Naveen has. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I got it. So thank you so much, folks, for joining this meeting, and I thank you each and everyone for giving your precious time. And I hope you all guys enjoy. And I will share this PPT link in the WhatsApp group soon. And we will see in another another event or like another workshop whenever I will be hosting, and I will be telling you another. And you also can share the topics like in which you guys want uh, the event, right? So I have a lot of topic to discuss, but as a time constraint, I think uh, we can end this meeting. And if anybody have any question, you can ask me later, right? So yeah, thank you so much once again. Now I think this meeting is also recorded. If anybody wants recording, I will also provide this. So thank you everyone for joining this meeting and wishing you a very happy new year. Bye.